948, 147, 228. These three numbers may be the last things recorded from the night Savannah Guthrie's mother disappeared. An 4-year-old woman. A quiet night in Tucson, and two devices going offline within less than an hour. A coincidence? Or something else? Savannah Guthrie is a familiar face on American television, appearing every morning in front of millions of viewers with a calm and professional presence. But this time, the story does not unfold in a brightly lit studio. It begins inside a silent house in Tucson. The attention is not on the news, but on what happened during what seemed like an ordinary night. This video is based only on publicly available information. It does not accuse anyone and does not go beyond the data. We are doing just one thing, reading the timeline again. According to reported accounts, at around 9:48 inches the evening, Nancy finished dinner at a relative's home and was driven back to her house. It sounds completely normal. Almost nothing stands out. A family evening. A short drive. A door closing at the end of a long day. That makes 9:48 the last confirmed moment, when everything was still clear, and nothing unusual had been publicly recorded. The door closes. The lights go off. A day ends like any other. But that normal feeling is exactly what makes 948 important. Because after that moment, the flow of information starts to fade. No more clear confirmations, no more solid public data, just a gap stretching into the early morning. In an investigation, a gap is not a side detail, it is the center. Because sometimes what matters most is not what is seen, but what suddenly stops being recorded. Between 9:48 inches the evening and the next morning, there is no public data clearly describing what happened inside that house. No reports of unusual noise, no emergency calls, no immediate warning signals mentioned. On the surface, everything seems quiet, just like any other night. This period passes in silence, and that silence creates a blind spot in the timeline. In investigations, when there is no new data, people do not jump to conclusions. They wait for the next marker. Then the second marker appears. 1:47 inches the morning. A specific number, a clear timestamp. According to reports at that moment, the home camera or doorbell device was recorded as disconnected. From a silent gap, the story suddenly shifts to a technical point that can be checked. 147 does not answer the question, but it ends the complete silence before it. The content in this video is for informational and reference purposes only. Although it has been cross-referenced with reputable sources, some details may have changed or may not be entirely accurate. According to reports, at 1:47 inches the morning, the home camera or doorbell lost connection. This is technical data, not a personal story. A specific timestamp, a moment that can be verified. Of course, devices can disconnect for many normal reasons. Weak Wi-Fi, a router restarting, background updates. Even a small power fluctuation can make a camera go offline for a short time. These things are not rare. But what makes 147 stand out is not the technical issue itself. It is the context, the middle of the night. In a story where just hours later a disappearance is reported, when placed in the timeline, 147 is no longer just a random issue. It becomes a marker. The question is not, who did it? The better question is, why did the disconnection happen at that exact moment? If the story stopped at 147, many people might see it as a simple technical glitch and move on. A camera going offline at night is not unusual. It happens in many homes without meaning anything special. But that night's timeline does not stop there. 41 minutes later, another marker appears. Not a story, not a guess. A new timestamp, 2:28 inches the morning. When one data break is followed by another in the same night, the story starts to shift. It is no longer a single issue. It becomes a sequence that needs to be looked at together. According to reports, at 2:28 inches the morning, a health monitoring device connected to a phone lost signal. Again, this is a clear timestamp that can be checked in system data. Once again, the cause could be completely technical. Low battery, Bluetooth disconnection, app error, temporary network issue. Nothing about this alone proves anything unusual. But when 228 is placed next to 147, the picture changes. Two different devices, two separate signal losses. In the same night, now the timeline is no longer a set of random events. It becomes a data night where every minute between those points needs to be carefully examined. Let's go back to the timeline to keep things clear. 9:48, Nancy is driven home. The last confirmed normal moment. 1:47 camera or doorbell disconnects. 2:28 health monitoring device loses signal. 3 specific times. 2 gaps between them. The first gap is from 9:48 to 1:47. The second gap is from 147 to 228. These gaps where no public data exists are where the focus must be. Not the numbers alone, but the connections between them. If there is a clear answer in the future, it will likely be found between those points in minutes that seemed quiet but may be the most important. The next morning, the usual routine does not happen. No response. No sign that the day has started normally. The silence is no longer just a quiet night. It becomes something unusual in daylight. By late morning, the family decides to check directly and then contact authorities. At that moment, a different clock starts running. Not the night timeline anymore, but the search timeline. In cases involving elderly people, time is not neutral. Every hour can change the chance of finding clues. Physical evidence can be affected by the environment, data can be overwritten, and the longer the gap, the greater the pressure. From here, the story is not just about what happened that night, but also about how fast the response followed. Today, investigations are not based only on what people say. Witnesses can forget details or remember things incorrectly. But digital devices are different. They record signals in a mechanical and continuous way. Cameras record movement. Routers log network activity. Wearable or health devices track status over time. These systems do not guess. They do not interpret. They simply record data until they go silent. So the key question is not only what the devices recorded, it is when they stopped recording and why. A pause in data can be normal, but when it matches the timeline of a serious event, it becomes something that must be examined closely. That is why this case is often described as baffling. Not because there is no data, but because the data stops at very specific points. 1, 4, 7, 2, 2, 8. 2 clear timestamps. 2 moments when systems go from recording to silence. Not vague hours, not unknown periods. Exact stopping points. That precision creates a feeling that the data is saying something but not enough yet to draw a conclusion. So the core question is not about guessing who is involved. It is whether this is just a technical coincidence or a signal that needs to be understood. When a case involves a public figure, information spreads extremely fast. Within hours, it appears on TV, social media, and many analysis channels. But speed does not mean accuracy, and the more people discuss it, the more noise appears. Unverified information gets shared as if it were confirmed. Personal guesses are repeated until they sound like facts. Some early leads attract attention, then later get dismissed when there is not enough evidence. But in real investigations, false leads are not failures. They are part of the process. Each wrong direction removed helps narrow the search. The problem is that outside this process often looks like confusion instead of progress. In cases like this, the biggest challenge is not just finding the real signal, but separating it from the growing noise. One important detail about modern security systems is that data is not stored only on the device at home. Many cameras use dual storage, part on the device, part on cloud servers. That means a device going offline does not mean all data is gone. Even if a device shows offline recordings before or shortly after may still exist elsewhere. So the phrase, "no video," must be understood carefully. It may describe the device's status, not the full system. In the digital age, traces rarely disappear completely. They usually move from device to server, from local memory to backup. So the real question is not, is there data or not, but where is the data and has everything been checked? There was also public attention on a moment during a live broadcast when Savannah left her position after a commercial break. In live television, such a change does not usually happen without a reason. That moment quickly spread and became widely discussed. However, observation is not the same as conclusion. A change on screen can have many reasons, personal or production-related. So far, there is no official confirmation linking that moment to the investigation. And in analysis, it is important to separate what is seen from what is proven. Speculation can fill gaps temporarily, but speculation is not data. Let's pause and go back to the timeline again. 9, 4, 8. 1, 4, 7, 2, 2, 8. 3 numbers. 3 anchors of the story. 9, 4, 8, last normal moment. 147 camera disconnect. 228 health device signal loss. Now we focus more on 228, the moment the health device lost signal. In digital analysis, there is a critical difference between 2 states. Flatline, the heart rate goes to 0, but the device still records. Loss of signal, the device stops sending data completely. Think of the heart rate graph as a line connecting the body to the data system. If the heart stops, the device still works and shows a flat line. That is a biological state. But if the signal disappears suddenly, that is not biological. That is technical. Why does this matter? Because modern health devices do not just record a single moment. They store trends data from the minutes before. So before 228, what was the data showing? Was the heart rate rising, dropping suddenly, or stable before the signal stopped? A camera can be blocked. But a heart rate cannot be hidden. It can only stop, or the device can lose connection. So the data gap at 228 is not just a simple technical issue. It becomes a silent witness, and at the most critical moment, that witness stops speaking. At this point, the most reasonable approach is to keep 3 possibilities open instead of choosing one too quickly. To understand why these 2 times are concerning together, we can look at probability. Let event A be the camera disconnecting. Suppose its chance in a normal night is about 1%. Let event B be the health device losing signal. Suppose its chance is about 0.5%. If they are independent events, the chance of both happening in the same short time window is P of A and B equals P of A times P of B. That equals 0.005%, an extremely small number. In math and investigation, when a number becomes this small, the idea of coincidence starts to weaken. It pushes investigators to look for a common cause, one factor that could explain both events. Another possibility is that the current data is not enough yet. There may be more information not released or not fully analyzed. Good analysis is not about choosing fast. It is about holding multiple possibilities until the data becomes strong enough to remove them one by one. What happened between 948 and 147? How did those 4 hours pass? Was there activity we do not know about? And what happened between 147 and 228? Were those 41 minutes just coincidence? Or a key transition in the timeline? Gaps do not make noise. They do not stand out like clear evidence. But in investigations, gaps carry the most weight. Because in the end, the story will be decided by what did or did not happen during those minutes. Now the question is for you. If you had to choose the most critical point in this timeline, which would it be? 147 when the camera disconnected, or 228 when the health device lost signal? Comment one number and give a short reason why. Your view might open a different way of reading the same data. In the next part, we will go deeper into system logs to understand what these timestamps may really reveal.